Welcome back to the Derm Couch, everybody, where today we are having another episode of a device that's experiencing the Kardashian effect. Yes, another one of the clan has deemed a, not such a new device, but a skin tightening device as Kim Kardashian's new favorite skin tightening device. I mean, this woman has new skin tightening favorites every day of the week, as much as she changes clothing. I think it was Sofwave a couple of months ago was her new favorite device. Now it's Xerf. That's the subject at hand. I assume she's getting paid quite well for this. And I got to give it to them. They really know how to make waves because the internet, TikTok, social media is Instagram is all a chatter about it. But really what I wanted to do is not talk about the Kardashians, but talk about skin tightening devices as a whole, not skin lifting devices. Only surgery lifts, because what happens is people hear one thing about tightening and they start extrapolating online that it's going to lift. No device is going to lift. Okay, so we'll get that straight. But Xerf is a radio frequency device. It's not a new category of technology. It's being sold on the angle about how it's very famous in Korea and it's now being used here. Again, just another marketing ploy. There's nothing in Korea in terms of categories of technology that we do not have here in the US other than great marketing out there. And there's a lot of confusion about which tightening technologies are better than the other. There are a few different categories or modalities of skin tightening. First and foremost, we have the original technologies, which are radio frequency based, and we have the ultrasound based technologies, and they use thermal energy to deliver to various layers of the skin to create textural changes and superficial tightening. Some go deeper than others. Some have a different safety profile. There's always this concern that's in social media, cases where people have lost natural volume, destroyed filler, destroyed fat. All of these devices have been tested, at least the ones available in the US have been tested for efficacy and safety by the FDA, and when used in the right hands, should absolutely not cause volume. The problem is so many of these type of devices are sold to places where non-medical healthcare professionals are using them. A medical esthetician is not a nurse, PA, nurse practitioner, or a physician. In most states, they are not licensed and are using these devices inappropriately. And any device can be used in a way to cause harm. So saying it's safe or not safe or can cause violence, it's like saying a knife is dangerous. Well, it depends who's using the knife. It's the same thing with these devices. So these as a whole are safe and effective devices. It depends what you want to treat and how you want to go about doing it. The original, the OG of radio frequency devices was the Thermage that I started using when I graduated residency in 2000. And it has improved. And I would call this Xerf almost like it's Xerf with an X, by the way, a modern day Thermage. It has better cooling. It's monopolar radio frequency, so the energy travels through your body to a grounding pad, and it can attack different layers of the skin. Both superficial dermis and deep dermis at the fat junction. But it does cause bulk heating. This is a device where you have to be cautious about who's using it in the right hands. Again, it probably is good for superficial skin tightening in a younger person. None of these devices are for people who need facelifts, like in their 60s. The classic one that I always use, and let me just give my disclosure here, I pay for my devices, and I do not get paid by the companies to tell you my opinion on this. I do prefer Ultherapy Prime in my practice. I like it because it has the most versatility of depth of penetration. It's 1.5 millimeters, which is the depth of what Sofwave is. It has 3 millimeters, which is the depth of what Xerf provides. And it also has a 4.5 millimeter handpiece where you can actually, yes, not only go through the fat tissue, but down to the SMAS where the muscle is. What I also like about Ultherapy Prime is that it is focal ultrasound heat delivery. So you're creating these almost like pinpoint cauterization. So there's no bulk heating. And when there's no bulk heating, when I say bulk heating, spreading out of heat in a general area, that is when there is the least risk of having any type of damage to filler or fat. You have to get fat tissue up to about 50 degrees centigrade, filler 60 degrees centigrade to cause trauma for a sustained period. And what's unique about the Ultherapy and ultrasound as a whole is that it's delivering it in very discrete short pulses. So you really have to abuse these devices to get the fat loss that everyone is fearful of. At P. Frank MD, my registered nurses or physicians themselves are performing it. We perform quite a bit of this. I've never seen a case of loss of volume. We like this device for people in their 30s, their 40s, a good 50s, or people who have had facial plastic surgery before and want a little bit more of a rejuvenation. Sofwave, the other very, very popular, used to be Kardashian's favorite, gets a lot of popularity because it's not as painful as Ultherapy, but it's also very superficial, 1.5 millimeters. It only gets into the mid dermis. And again, depending on the area of the face you treat, the dermis is of different depths, so you have to be really cautious if you only have a device that gets things at one level. The Sofwave is only for superficial texture. There's really no tightening. I mean, in a young person, early stage fine lines is about all you can get. The Xerf does 2 different frequencies of radio frequency, so it may be a little bit more of an advanced device, but it's not pinpoint. Both Sofwave and Xerf gives a band of heat. It's not pinpoint. So you can get bulk heating. And with the Xerf device, because you're putting the heat at several layers and you can bulk heat it in the wrong hands, you have to worry about that heat at what we call the dermal fat junction and heating it up. So the point of all this is that all these devices can be beneficial. What's most important is not which device, but who's using it. There are some that are more risky than others. What is unique about the Ultherapy Prime is that it's the only one where the physician or nurse can actually visualize on a screen, like a baby ultrasound, where you can see exactly where that heat is penetrating. And you could really target different specific depths using different hand pieces based on different areas of the face, right? The area of the forehead is much thinner than the area of the jowl area. So the safety in these devices is first and foremost the provider. Second, it's in being able to visualize the tissue when you're doing it, which is what I like about the Ultherapy Prime. The Xerf and the Sofwave, again, they're superficial devices. You know, again, it's really, there's no best treatment. It's the best treatment for the right purpose, but a person. But what I need to get across most importantly is that all these devices can be used safely, but you have to be careful what you're using it for. None of them are going to cause lifting, but you can get tightening at different layers of the skin. And remember what I always say, depending on if you're a provider that only has a hammer, they're going to treat everything like a nail. So it's very important you seek someone who has several options open to you. Isn't that right, Elvis? Isn't that right? Elvis, he's a little too young for these treatments yet, so he'll catch up. But I think that's about it. I hope it wasn't too confusing for you all. The key thing is these skin tightening devices can be very, very safe. They're not going to ruin your facelift, by the way, particularly if you're getting a deep plane facelift where you're going well below the fatty tissue to move the mattress of the musculature. It shouldn't make any difference whether there's any bit of scar tissue in the deep dermis at all. And only if you abuse these devices and create an enormous amount of unnecessary scar tissue can you create any issue. And I think they're a perfect complement before surgery, after surgery. Again, it's about coordinating your care good between a plastic surgeon and a cosmetic dermatologist, and picking your provider. That's the most important thing. So, Kim, I appreciate your input, but my job is to help sift through all the nonsense that's going throughout social media in the world, and hope that answered some of your questions.